Hey guys, welcome back to another video with Iyanla Empowers. Now the new year has started and so has the YouTube channel, so we're back and we're running. It feels so good to be back. Welcome to all my new subscribers and to the one that have been here. Thank you for supporting Iyanla Empowers. Please remember to subscribe, share with your friends and your family and with classmates as well, students who you know need extra help in geography. I would expect to have some videos every week for every month of the year going forward because we want you to get all that geo knowledge in. Alright, so we're just gonna get started. I'm so excited. For today's video, we'll be doing introduction to map work. So some first formers at my school requested this, so I'm just going to go through it and hopefully you can comment and let me know what you learned at the end. Not even hopefully, comment and let me know what you learned at the end of this video. So let's get started. So what is a map? So I have two meanings on the slide and the second one is a bit simpler than the first, so I'm just going to explain the second one. So representation of an area of land or sea showing physical features, cities, roads, etc. So it's just a representation that you can look at, and here you will see land, you will also see sea, water bodies, and on the map you'll also see physical features of this land, cities, roads, etc. So that's simply put, that's what a map is. Now, but why are they important though? Why are maps important? Why couldn't we use something else? So I have some questions on the screen here, and the first one says, imagine being in a new environment and you want to know where to find the closest supermarket. What's the first thing that you are going to do to find out where the supermarket is? So if you're in a new environment, you know, maybe if you're not an outgoing person, you probably don't want to ask anyone, so you'll go to Google. And when you type in where you are and you want to find a supermarket, what Google is going to do is show you a map. Right? So it show you Google Maps, or it will show you supermarkets that are close to you, and then you'll see the option to look at a map to know where to go or the directions to go in. So this is why maps are important. I have another question. It says, imagine you're driving to a function but you do not know the location. What would you do? You know, you go on Google, or you go on Google Maps, or you go on whatever maps, Waze, whatever you do, and a map will pop up and show you or tell you the directions where, for example, this function is being held. The answer to these questions are why maps are important. So maps represent the real world on a much smaller scale. So you cannot put the whole world on this big, huge, humongous spreading map, but what you can do to make it easier is to small it down and still show the features. So what maps do, they help you to travel from one location to another. They also help you to organize information, and they help you to figure out where you are and how to get where you want to go. Now, with everything, you have many different types. So we have different types of maps. Now, some types of maps include physical maps, political maps, economic maps, and climatic maps. And you have many more, but we'll be focusing on these four for now. I'm going to go a bit in detail on each type of map. So let's start with political map. Now, these are the most commonly seen maps. Everywhere you go, you see a political maps. And it says that you can find one in almost any classroom around the world. What this map does is it shows the geographic boundaries between countries, states, and counties. They show the roads, the cities, the major water features such as oceans, rivers, and lakes. So if your teacher says, find Rio Minho, you would most likely to go to a political map to find Rio Minho, or to find the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean. You know, you'd go to a political map. If you want to find some major roads and highways, you'd always go to a political map, because these maps show you the cities, the roads, the water features, all of that. They are also known as reference maps, as they are commonly used for reference for a particular area through the use of coordinates. Now on the screen you are seeing an example of a political map. So this is a picture of a political map of Jamaica. And let's just evaluate this map right here. So right here we can see Kingston, Bogwalk, Linstead, Frankfield. If you see them, comment and let me know. There's also a legend there that shows you the parish boundary, so where one parish starts and another parish ends, the capital of each parish, and also other major cities. So Portland, the capital of Portland based on the key, is Port Antonio, and another major city in Portland is Buff Bay. Alright, so that is what a political map looks like. Some may differ, but initially they show the same thing. Alright, let's move on to a physical map now. Now, a physical map is designed to show the natural landscape features of the earth. They are best known for showing topography, either by colors or as shaded relief. Physical maps often have a green to brown to gray color scheme for showing the elevation of the land. Alright, so let's talk about the colors now. So darker greens are used for, land near the sea level, with the color grading going into tans and browns as elevations increase. The color gradient often terminates in shades of gray for the highest elevations. Alright, so rivers, lakes, seas and oceans are usually shown in blue, often with a light blue color for the most shallow areas and darkening in a gradient or by intervals for areas of deeper water. So what we can see is the colors start to get darker as elevation gets higher or as the water gets deeper. Alright, so where you are looking on a physical map and you see dark blue compared to light blue, you can eventually say, yes, here is deeper than here. Or there are mountains here and hills here based on the color gradient. Glaciers and ice caps are shown in white colors. So let's look at this physical map of Jamaica. And we are going to look at it and we can see, as the information before suggested, lighter greens are areas closer to the coastline, not that hilly, on the plains. And as we move in, it starts to get a bit brown, a bit tan, then it gets a bit darker in the middle right there. And it's darkest kind of near to Kingston. Well, kind of where the word Kingston is, I should say. Not near to Kingston, but where the word Kingston is. And if we look at the key, we can see that the darker brown is 1,000 feet. And, the lighter green is at sea level or about 500 feet. So that just helps you to identify how the colors, are placed. Right here, you don't see the names of rivers or cities, or you don't see parish boundaries. You don't see any of that on a physical map. So here we can already start to point out some differences, don't it? Let's talk about economic maps. So an economic activity map focuses on a country or region's agriculture, manufacturing, mining, and other economic activities. Colors or shading identify the land area devoted to certain activities, such as farming. Now the symbols identify the kinds of natural resources in the area. Water bodies, bauxite, land. To get a better understanding, let's look at an economic map. So if we're looking in the right hand corner here, this economic map highlights agriculture. So I know before it says manufacturing, mining, other economic activities. So each economic activity is placed on a separate map, just so we can get a better understanding of how everything fits for the country. So I have an example of an economic map of Jamaica showing agriculture, and we have to look at the keys to have an understanding of what exactly it is showing. So for agriculture, it says the green means sugarcane, the orange bananas, the yellow citrus, brown coconuts, purple coffee, and or pink is cocoa. So let's just evaluate this map right here. So let's look at Maypen. So Maypen is mainly sugarcane. Maypen also has some bananas, has some citrus, has some cocoa. Okay, so let's evaluate this now. So where you see Maypen, that's a parish of Clarendon, there is sugarcane, we see some bananas, we see some citrus, we see some coffee, and we see some cocoa. Alright, now let's look at St. Catherine. St. Catherine is majority sugarcane and there's some bananas, so we don't see much cocoa or coffee going on in St. Catherine, or citrus or coconuts. Alright, so where do we see bananas? Where do we mostly find bananas? Comment and let me know where we mostly find bananas. Where do we mostly find cocoa? Which parishes have coffee? Let me know in the comments below. Also, what do you realize about coconuts? Where are coconuts, mainly found on this map? Where do we see coconuts? Hint. No, I'm not giving any hints. Comment and let me know, where do you see coconuts? What's the trend with coconuts? Alright, let's move on to a climate map. Now, a climate map shows the geographic distribution of the monthly or annual average values of climatic variables. Oh, sounds complicated, but we'll see on the map. So it can show temperature, precipitation, relative humidity, percentage of possible sunshine, insolation, cloud cover, wind speed, direction, all of that, and atmospheric pressure. So these are all climatic elements over regions ranging in areas from a few tens of square kilometers to globally. Alright, let's look at this climate map now. So this is a climate map of Jamaica highlighting rainfall, and just like our economic activities map, it only focuses on one thing. It cannot show rainfall and temperature and humidity on the same map. It's just focusing on one thing, so we get more in detailed information on this climatic feature or element, I should say. Alright, so let's look at this one. We have our key. So our darker blue means 500 milliliters of rainfall, and we're going all the way bottom to, I think that is red, that's a pinkish red, 0 to 500 millimeters of rainfall. We don't see anywhere, well, I don't see anywhere on this map showing that that pinkish reddish. So we know from looking at the map that majority or all parishes get more than 500 millimeters of rainfall. I'm looking out for that orange as well, that ranges from 500 to 750 millimeters. I'm not seeing it as well. So we know that majority or most parishes get more than 750 millimeters of rainfall. So that is how we can use a map to answer certain questions. Now, where their range is 750 to 1000 millimeters of rainfall, I think that's in Catherine, kind of showing me that vibe right there, not having as much rainfall as compared to, let's say, St. Thomas and Portland. That's getting a lot of rainfall, and we can see that they get the most rainfall actually. Well, Portland gets the most rainfall, as that's where you see the higher concentrated blue. So they get over 500 millimeters of rainfall annually. So that's how we use a map to answer questions on our climate, on rainfall, on agriculture, on which parishes plant what, so on and so forth. And this is why maps are so important. Now, we have talked about why maps are important, but what makes a good map and what should a good map have? Now, there are 5 elements that are important for a map. A necessity. I can talk. In Jesus' name, amen. Alright. So imagine getting dressed and forgetting to wear footwear, or having a bag or purse. You may still be able to go out. If you don't have a bag, you can probably buy a bag. If you don't have a purse, you can probably put things in your pocket, but you will not feel complete, because suppose you're going on the road and you get some food. Where you going to put the food? You want to put the food in your bag, don't it? Or you want to put your phone in your bag for it to be a bit more safe. You're still able to go on the road, but you aren't complete. And this represents the elements of what a good map should have. It should have all 5 to be thoroughly complete. So when creating your map, ensure you have TSNBL. Now, what is TSNBL? Well, TSNBL is a title, a scale, a north line, a border, and a key. So here are some guidelines when using or including these features. A title. So a title should be in a large font. It should be easily identifiable, as the title of the map should include descriptive text as to the location and purpose of the map. If the map is thematic, the theme should be included in the title. For example, corn production in Washington 1990. So if the map is showing corn production, in Washington in the year 1990. So the title is usually the largest font size of all lettering on the layout. However, it should not dominate the map graphic itself. The title may or may not be in a box and does not need to be at the top of the page, though it often is. So, normally we see our titles on the top. It can be at the bottom. It's the norm for it to be at the top though. For published materials, examples, books or articles, the title may be included in a figure caption. So if you're reading a book, you may not see the title at the top, but maybe in caption. Alright, so to our right, we have an example of a title, and it's Apache Peak, Quadrangle, Arizona, 7.5 minute series topographic. It gives you so much detail. It is bolded. You know from looking at it that this is the title, and that's exactly what we need from a title. Alright, so let's talk about our scale indicator. So the scale of the map is typically indicated by a graphic bar scale, a representative fraction, or a verbal scale. The reader must be able to determine the relationship between a unit of measure on the map and a unit of measure in the real world. So if you remember what I said before, it is the world fitted on a piece of paper, on a screen, such small scale, and the world size is nothing compared to the map. But what a map does, it shows it so we're able to see everything, but we're also able to measure everything. But how can we measure everything? By just looking at a piece of paper. That's why they have a scale. So if it is big size and you're trimming it down to the small size, there must be a scale for you to multiply whatever you need to multiply to actually get the right size. It sounds a bit complicated now, but as we go on with making further videos, you'll understand how to measure maps to get the actual distance and the actual size of an area. So that's the purpose of a scale. So it also shows you what the measurement would be in kilometers or miles. I know it's all maths from there. It's very interesting, and in another video you will see exactly how it works, and then you'll get a better understanding. Alright, let's move on. So we're going to move on now to orientation. So a map should indicate which way is south, north, east, and west. Commonly, this is done by a north arrow or a compass rose. And a video is coming out next week on our compass rose, so look out for that. So orientation may also be shown by graphical or grid marks. We don't need to focus on that right now, but I'm just putting the information out there. By convention, maps do not have north arrows, but the orientation must still be given for a proper map. So some maps don't have north arrows because they think that the north is obviously that way, but a good map should have a north arrow, so we know for sure that north is that way and not that way. You're probably wondering which way and which way, but let's look at this picture to the right here. So even though our map is slanted diagonally, we still know that north is where we see the north arrow pointing, up that side, and it's not somewhere else. If the north arrow wasn't there, where do you think the north would have been? I'm thinking the north would have been, near to that 41 going up. But that's not north, that's probably where northwest. When in actuality, north is where the north arrow is. So this is why it's important, because some maps aren't straightforward, they aren't straight, they can be slanted, and we need to know exactly where our south is, our east is, and our west is. Alright? Now a map border identifies exactly where the map area stops and should be close to the edges of the mapped area. The distance between the map and its border should be the same on all sides, and it should be balanced. I'm going to show an example of our border. I don't have an example here, but we're going to go back a couple slides, or you're going to skip the video a couple slides and just be on the same page with me. It also goes in further on how the border should look. So there should also be a border around the entire page or map layout, enclosing and grouping the title, legend, text boxes, etc. together. Both of these borders are sometimes referred to as a neat line. So sometimes you hear people say, oh, your map not a neat line. They mean, how does your map doesn't have a border? How does your map not have a border? In addition, there is sometimes a thin additional line just outside of a border, and it makes it more visually appealing. And that is what is referred to as a neat line. Okay, but sometimes they refer to a border as a neat line as well. Alright, legend now, or key. So this is required if the map uses symbols or colors, including the shades of gray and patterns. Maps and other certain map features do not need legends if the symbology is so common or simple as to easily understand by the reader. However, it must be clear what each marker or line type, weight, or pattern represents. The legend does not need to be labeled legend. Alright guys, we need a key. Because some people might see a pentagon and say, oh, that's a house, when maybe it could be a school. So to make things clear, no matter how common we think the symbols are, it is good to have a key. To the right, we have a legend here, and we know that when we see that sign on a map or that symbol, it means emergency telephone. Or if we see that symbol, we know it means water. If we see that red, we know that's a primary highway. But if we see that kind of light black, we know that it's a secondary highway. So a question may say, highlight or name all primary highways. And you look at the map and say, which one is primary highway again? You just look on the legend real quick. So say it's the red one. Go and write the name associated beside all red primary highways. And you know, boom, 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 and that's it. So that's it for our 5 key elements. So I'm going to go back to our first map. So we're going to look at our political map. So you can skip back a bit, and we're going to identify if it fits or has all 5 elements. So we're going to evaluate the map some a bit. Alright, let's go. So we're looking back at our political map. Does it have a title? I'm going to give you guys some minutes to just answer. Does it have a title? Remember, not all maps need TSNBL. Alright, so we see a title there. It says Jamaica Political Map. It's each up. You know, it could be centered, but fine. Does it have a scale? Okay, so there's a scale right under Morant Bay. We see a scale. Does it have a border? Oh, we see a little neat line going on. We see it's a border because it has the north line enclosed and everything enclosed. And saying that, we have a north line as well. It shows you where north is, you know. So we see that right up in the top right corner. It has a legend which is labeled, or a key. What am I missing? It has all elements TSNBL. It's not TSNBL. Oh yes, it is. Alright. So our political map passed the test. Yay! Alright, let's look at our physical map. So does our physical map have a title? I mean, it just says Jamaica, so it's not really a direct title, but you know, it gets a pass. But it should say Physical Map of Jamaica or something of the sort. So it gets a pass. So that's our T. Or S, does it have a scale? Yes, it does. Okay. Or N, does it have a north line? Yes, it does. But our north line is not to the right, it's to the left. But you know, we still know where north is. Does it have a border? Yes, it does. And does it have a legend? It does have a legend. Now remember, it says that it does not need to be labeled legend, but we can identify what our colors mean by looking at our key or legend right here, knowing what our colors mean, how many feet and how many meters. So yay, our physical map passed the test. Let's look at our economic map or agricultural map of Jamaica. Does it have a title? It just says agriculture. Could be a bit more specific, but okay, gets a pass. It's bolded, we know that's the title. Does it have a scale? Does it need a scale? It it shouldn't a scale. Every map needs a scale. In this case, you could give the scale a pass in a sense, but a good map should have a scale. So gets marked down for that. Does it have a north line? No, it doesn't. Mark down again. Does it have a border? No, it doesn't. Does it have a legend? Yes, it does. So it has 2 things out of the 5, but it's missing 3 things, so it's not our ideal map. And our climatic map, let's look. Does it have a title? Yes, and our title is at the bottom, as we can see here. Jamaica rainfall analysis, millimeters. Map produced from mean station rainfall January 1971 to December 2000, and it gives you so much detail. I think this is our best title so far. So we see our title. All right, do we see our scale? Yes, we do. Do we see our north line? Yes, we do. Our border? Yes. Our legend? Yes. And this map is our most ideal map because it has every element, it have it in detail, it's clear, it has our border, it's just perfect. All right, so yay, let's clap our climate map. Yay, climate map. All right, let's just move on now to our conventional map symbols. So this is a bit, just a regular. It says on large scale maps, symbols are usually used to highlight specific areas such as a church, school, height, vegetation, settlements, and roads. So let's look at a map and highlight some of these conventional map symbols. So I know it says that on the slide, but let's just look at our conventional symbols and signs and let's just identify them. So when you see a map, you know that yes, this is a fort. Yes, this is a lighthouse. You're sure because you learned it and you saw it in this video. Alright, so let's look. So usually a fort is represented by that, a church, a pagoda. Haven't seen that. Maybe that's on a different map that I've not been introduced to as yet. We have our mosque, temple, graveyard, and some of these are so obvious because if you see that, that looks like a church. PO, okay, post office, stuff like that, but some are not really. You're wondering, what's that? What's that? You probably see the sign for a temple and think it's a church and not know that it means temple. PS police station, RH rest house, inspection bungalow. That's a first. okay. All right, we have our aerodrome, pack track, cart track. I mean, these are some of our conventional symbols. We also have main road, footpath, so on and so forth. Okay, so that's just some of our conventional map symbols, and they're just used so you know that when you see a certain symbol, this is what it means. However, you should always look at your legend on a map. Alright, let's talk about the difference between a map, plan, sketch, diagram, and photograph. So the big difference between a photograph and a map is that a map represents a vertical plan of a region, while a photograph represents a realistic image. So on a photograph, what you see is what you get. So if you take a picture of, say for example, area B, you can see the trees in area B. You can see how the lake looks. You can see that the lake is not as blue as you would have imagined. It looks a bit whitish. We have a road. The road is pitch patchy, full of potholes. However, with a map, what you'll see that yes, beside the road there are trees, but we cannot tell how a tree looks from a map or how the road looks. We couldn't tell that the road is full of potholes from looking at a map because it's just a line to show that this is where a road is, but it doesn't show you how exactly the road looks. With a picture you can see that. With a map it's just a plan of the region. Alright, let's talk about the difference between a map and a plan. So plans are a set of two-dimensional diagrams or drawings used to describe a place or an object or to communicate building or fabrication instructions, while a map is a visual representation of an area. So a plan is two-dimensional. It's just you probably, kind of using a pencil and doing a little rough thing and say, yes, trees are here. Expect to see a, yellow house right there. A road leads to the building right there. Well, a map is a bit more visual. You can look at a map and see that there's a school, there's a post office, there's a police station, there's buildings, there's this, there's that. It's a bit more three-dimensional than a plan. Alright, so a difference between a map and a sketch. A map is drawn to scale, while a sketch is a rough drawing. A map of smaller or bigger space can be drawn on a piece of paper, while we draw a sketch of only a small area. Can anyone guess why? And I'm not going to give the answer for that. Tell me down below, why can you only draw a sketch of a small area when you can get a map of a smaller or a bigger space? I think I hinted it before when I was explaining something. Not going to tell you what, but comment below why. Alright, so yeah, but let's just identify that a sketch is like a rough drawing. You just take up a pencil, you just boom 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 boom. You'd probably just, you know, do something rough, nothing actual, nothing real, and you can only show a small space. You can't represent a big space with a sketch, while a map is drawn to scale. Hint hint. Alright, and you can show either a small space or a big space if you choose to. And finally, the difference between a map and a diagram. A map is a visual representation of an area, whether real or imaginary, while a diagram is a plan, drawing, sketch, or outline to show how something works. And it's kind of like what we mentioned before, because it says it's like a plan, a drawing, and a sketch, and we've highlighted what those are before. So that's the difference between a map and a diagram. So now we have reached the end of our video. I know a lot of you are saying yay! Yes, thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, share, comment, all of that. And if you know you have a classmate that needs a bit of help where the map is concerned, carry her or carry him to this video. And our quote for the day is, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. And that's by Benjamin Franklin. Think about that. You know, usually you put on investments, to get interest monetarily. What it says, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Thank you so much for listening to me explain maps and other geographical topics. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you and bye. See you in the next vid.